L'arnaque la plus incroyable dont vous ne savez rien. Lecture tirée du site, divulgation.fr/wordpress.com. Je ne prête allégeance qu'aux droits naturels et divins offerts par le Créateur, et non pas aux lois d'une corporation criminelle et privée créée par les hommes, qui de plus revendiquent me posséder sans ma permission. J'ouvre une parenthèse dès le début de cette vidéo pour faire savoir à tous ceux qui ne le savent pas encore que les élites et PDG qui actuellement prétendent nous empêcher de vivre, ne sont que des sociétés enregistrées avec leur code sirène, SIRET, et NAF. Pour bien vous faire comprendre, vous n'avez signé aucun contrat avec ces entreprises et vous n'avez donc rien à leur devoir. Donc comme toutes entreprises enregistrées auprès de l'INSEE créées en 1946, elles ont pour but de faire du commerce, avec nos prélèvements obligatoires et surtout avec toutes leurs amendes qui sont une vraie poule aux œufs d'or pour elles. La seule loi que je reconnais est de ne pas nuire à autrui ni à ses biens, de vivre dans le respect de la nature divine. Vous êtes mort dès votre naissance aux yeux de la loi. Cela dure depuis 1794, loi du 6 fructidor de l'an 2, soit juste après la Révolution faisant la passation du nom d'usage au nom de famille, habituellement réservé aux sociétés pour les reconnaître telles que la boulangerie du Pont. On l'appelle la fraude du nom légal. Le pire, c'est qu'elle débute dès votre arrivée au monde, sans votre consentement, bafouant les droits naturels et inaliénables de l'être humain, et c'est sur cela qu'est bâti le système tout entier, et il perdure grâce à votre ignorance. Mais il est possible de s'extirper de cela, nous vous en parlerons plus tard dans l'article. Tout d'abord, il faut revenir au début du commerce, tout a un lien. Lorsque l'homme a commencé à produire des excédents agricoles, il s'est mis à commercer avec d'autres cultures, civilisations. Le tout essentiellement par voie maritime. Il a donc fallu créer des lois pour réguler les échanges. C'est là que le droit maritime est né. Les lois étaient donc liées au pavillon, le drapeau sur un bateau. La règle voulait que le pavillon du navire représentât les règles qu'il appliquait. Lorsqu'un navire avec un pavillon rencontrait un autre navire sans pavillon, celui qui n'en avait pas devait se plier à celui qui en possédait un, et lorsque deux navires avec des pavillons différents se rencontraient, alors ils devaient négocier sous le biais de contrats pour réguler leurs transactions. Notre fonctionnement juridique est issu du droit maritime, toutes ces notions se retrouvent au quotidien. C'est là que l'arnaque commence, votre mère est considérée comme un pavillon sans drapeau et vous, une marchandise qu'elle transporte. Pourquoi pavillon et marchandise? Parce que la notion de vivant n'existe pas dans le droit. Les termes, personne, citoyen, Jean, monsieur, madame, individu, relèvent de la fiction. Même le mot, naissance. Quand on parle de naissance, juridiquement cela signifie la création d'une personnalité juridique. Lorsque votre mère, considérée comme navire sans pavillon, accouche de vous en France, juridiction possédant un pavillon, votre mère doit donc se soumettre aux lois du pavillon en question et cet hôpital est considéré comme un port d'attache français. Dès votre apparition, on crée un acte de naissance transférant votre souveraineté à l'État, sans votre consentement libre et éclairé. L'acte de naissance. Il est issu du certificat d'importation, réservé aux marchandises prises en charge par une nation. Voyez les similarités entre le certificat de naissance et le certificat d'importation. Une date d'émission, c'est la date de naissance. Lieu d'enregistrement. Numéro de série unique, c'est votre nom-prénom. Numéro d'enregistrement. Une description. Une notification à l'agent d'état civil qui est une agence gouvernementale. Définition du mot acte, manifestation intentionnelle de volonté dans le but de réaliser certains effets de droit, comme la délégation de pouvoir. Traduction, l'État revendique propriété sur votre personne, mais il vous en délègue la gestion, pour son compte, c'est celui que vit. Vous êtes-vous déjà posé la question pourquoi les rois et reines ne possèdent pas de nom de famille? C'est toujours Louis XIV, la reine Élisabeth II, juridiquement ils n'ont pas de nom car ils sont souverains, c'est bien comme cela qu'on les appelle et vous en comprenez dorénavant la signification. Lorsque Kate Middleton s'est mariée au prince William, sur son registre d'état civil elle a perdu son nom de famille. Mais vous êtes bien plus qu'un bout de papier, bien qu'encore inconscient de cela. La fiducie, ou comment le propriétaire autoproclamé vous donne des miettes. La fiducie remonte à l'époque romaine. Le principe était que quand les propriétaires terriens s'en allaient en conquête ou en mission diplomatique pour l'empereur, ils déléguaient la gestion de leurs terres en leur absence à d'autres personnes. Sans votre consentement et dès votre arrivée au monde, le procureur crée une personnalité juridique, un acte de naissance, aussi appelé homme de paille qui se substituera à vous, donc vous n'êtes plus considéré aux yeux de l'État comme un être vivant, mais comme une fiction, un document appartenant à la République française. Vous êtes le titulaire d'une entreprise qui porte votre nom et prénom, écrite en majuscules comme pour les sociétés. C'est pour cette raison que vous ne voyez jamais nulle part votre identité en minuscule alors qu'elle devrait l'être. C'est votre souveraineté que l'on prend en la remplaçant par un bout de papier, sans votre accord. C'est pour cela que votre carte d'identité, votre acte de naissance et votre passeport appartiennent à l'État. Vous n'en êtes que le titulaire, c'est bien inscrit dessus, et non le propriétaire, comme pour votre compte en banque. Cette personnalité juridique, dans votre parfaite ignorance, vous passez votre vie à la représenter sans savoir ce qu'elle implique. Tous ces documents sont votre personnalité juridique que vous administrez pour le compte de l'État. La République française est une entreprise inscrite au registre du commerce et des sociétés depuis 1947, numéro de siret 100 017. C'est elle qui est propriétaire de votre personnalité juridique, identité en majuscule. Votre voiture, votre maison, votre compte en banque, votre télé, l'État peut les saisir car tout ce que vous achetez au titre de votre personnalité juridique appartient à l'État. Même vos enfants. Le droit maritime est partout. Revenons à nos pavillons. On disait tout à l'heure que l'hôpital où accouchait la mère de l'enfant était considéré en droit maritime comme un port d'attache du pavillon français. Un tribunal est un navire, c'est pour cela que lorsque l'on vous demande de venir à la barre, ce mot n'est pas choisi par hasard. Le mot « gouvernement » vient du mot « gouvernail ». Sachez que lorsque vous êtes en procès contre l'État français, ne pas avoir payé une amende pour excès de vitesse par exemple, c'est à votre personnalité juridique que l'on s'attaque. Puisque tout est affaire de commerce, remarquez que le juge tient un marteau en bois dans sa main, qui d'autre le possède en dehors du juge? Le commissaire-priseur en charge des enchères. Le juge est en fait là pour réguler le litige commercial entre l'État français et votre fiction juridique. Si vous obéissez au juge, vous acceptez le contrat. Pour finir, il tape 3 fois avec son marteau pour finaliser la transaction. Une personne n'est pas un homme ou une femme, c'est une entité légale, juridique, morale ou fictive, homme de paille, similaire à une corporation qui est utilisée pour tous les documents commerciaux, administratifs et financiers. La dette, votre acte de naissance est la clé. C'est en 1933 que les États-Unis déclarent faillite, et décident donc de contracter des emprunts auprès de banques privées. Sans argent disponible au gouvernement pour rembourser, le gouvernement a alors porté ses citoyens caution envers les banques comme garantie pour obtenir les fonds. Ce système perdure toujours aujourd'hui. Le travail et l'énergie de tout un peuple en contrepartie, c'est le saint Graal pour un banquier d'affaires. Il faut se mettre à la place d'une banque, ce n'est pas l'argent qu'elle veut car ça peut se créer et sa valeur dépend du système sur lequel elle capitalise à long terme, le contrôle des ressources, des biens et des personnes. C'est tout ce qui l'intéresse. La vie d'un Français à la naissance est évaluée en moyenne à 3 millions d'euros. C'est toujours comme cela aujourd'hui que le gouvernement français obtient des prêts via des banques privées, par lesquelles il a obligation de passer depuis 1973, on a eu X millions de naissances, accordez-nous X milliards d'euros. Votre vie est déjà payée à votre naissance. C'est aussi de cette manière que les assurances vie sont calculées, et il y a eu une avancée majeure pour simplifier la chose, la sécurité sociale. Chaque numéro de sécurité sociale agit comme un identifiant bancaire sur lequel placer X somme d'argent. Pourquoi recevez-vous le chômage? Vous êtes titulaire d'une personne juridique mais qui sans le savoir, détient une somme astronomique prêtée à l'État, que vous passerez votre vie à rembourser, ou pas. vous vous rappelez l'histoire des transactions au tribunal. Eh bien tout est commerce, jusqu'au bout. Si vous tuez quelqu'un, vous allez en prison non pas car vous avez ôté la vie d'un être humain, mais parce que vous avez privé l'État français d'une ressource sur laquelle il avait capitalisé. Je vous rappelle, le vivant n'existe pas juridiquement. Ils t'ont vendu, ils nous ont tous vendus. À notre naissance, nous sommes un titre boursier, une valeur mobilière. Le travail et la consommation de toute ta vie ont déjà été payés. Notre énergie est la caution des crédits d'une société privée appelée gouvernement. Ils ont superposé à tes yeux une matrice, une réalité factice, te faisant croire qu'il n'y avait qu'un seul, toi. Or ils t'ont dupliqué, virtuellement, et ils ont fait de cette nouvelle personne, leur esclave éternel. Un homme de paille qui porte le même nom que toi quand il est prononcé, et c'est là qu'ils t'ont trompé. Comment récupérer sa souveraineté ? Nous avons tous l'autorité d'indépendance sur nous-mêmes en tant qu'êtres vivants. La clé, c'est ne pas consentir. Un gendarme vous demande de sortir de votre voiture. Vous appelle monsieur, madame. Vous demande de couper le moteur. Il s'adresse à votre personnalité juridique, et non à votre être, fait d'os, de chair et de sang. Vous n'êtes pas obligé de lui présenter votre carte d'identité, si vous ne désirez pas reconnaître votre homme de paille fictif. Un juge, il est bien au courant de cela, vous demande de vous lever et venir à la barre. Il vous demande si vous comprenez les accusations contre vous. Dites non. C'est à votre fiction qu'il s'adresse. Dans ce cas précis, il faut remettre le jeu à sa place. Je suis votre prénom, être vivant souverain, et j'administre l'entité juridique, homme de paille fictif, prénom et nom de famille associé à la famille, nom de famille par ouï-dire. Pourquoi par ouï-dire ? Car seule la mère du corps physique est certaine, le père est toujours un ouï-dire. Sachez que le nom de famille, c'est l'État et non le père qui vous l'attribue. La réalité est que tout être est souverain et que personne à part Dieu lui-même n'a de pouvoir contre vous si vous restez dans l'alignement de votre divine souveraineté. Évidemment, ne vous attendez pas à ce que cela fonctionne si vous vous mettez demain à agresser physiquement un autre être souverain, qu'il soit conscient de sa souveraineté ou pas. Pour avoir accès à ce droit, vous devez respecter la souveraineté de tous. Nous avons cependant oublié notre réel pouvoir à cause d'un enfumage incessant des médias, de la culture de l'ego et j'en passe. La peur nous enferme dans leur système, la peur de manquer d'argent, la peur du terrorisme, de l'anarchie, du changement climatique, du changement tout court. Un oiseau né en cage pense que voler est une maladie. Cette peur justifie leur tyrannie, l'esclavage moderne par la dette et la répression. Les gens pensent donc qu'il leur faut absolument un gouvernement pour les protéger. Comme le dit si bien Aldous Huxley, la dictature parfaite serait un monde où les esclaves auraient l'amour de leur servitude. Le contrat, ou plutôt coup d'État à la naissance, ou dol, sur votre souveraineté n'est pas valable. En tant que petit être humain, vous n'aviez pas la parole et la manière de faire valoir votre consentement ou non, libre et éclairé. On appelle cela un dol, en droit civil, c'est une manœuvre dans un contrat visant à tromper l'autre, cela entraîne la nullité du contrat. C'est pour cela qu'ils essaient de conserver l'autorité sur la population en fusionnant l'identité biologique, empreinte digitale, avec l'identité numérique, passeport. Jetez un œil également à l'article 6 de la Déclaration universelle des droits de l'homme, au-dessus de toute loi nationale, chacun a le droit à la reconnaissance en tout lieu de sa personnalité juridique. Ce qui signifie aussi le droit de ne pas s'en servir, de ne pas la reconnaître. Si vous voulez aller plus loin, regardez cette vidéo d'un être humain souverain sorti d'un tribunal en prononçant son propre acquittement. Déclaration de refus de consentement. Voilà, j'espère que cette vidéo va vous donner l'envie de faire vos propres recherches et je vous dépose aussi le dernier lien qui vous aidera à comprendre que vous pouvez sortir de cette arnaque et vous libérer en tant qu'être souverain.
What's up, man?
What are you doing today, sir?
Good.
You a U.S. citizen?
That's my business.
Well, it's our business to ask. Are you a U.S. citizen or not?
You can ask, that's fine.
And you have to answer me. Well, I have to detain you until you can either tell me that you're a
Well, I don't have to answer you because I have rights as an American.
Sir, go ahead and pull over there behind that other vehicle if you do me a favor.
No thanks. No. No, thank you. No.
What's up, man?
What's up?
All right. Can we have you pull in secondary, please?
No, thank you. I'd like to go free on my way. You know, I thought this is America. I thought I had some freedom to travel unmolested, and I'm just trying to go about my business here. You know, I don't have time to play games with you guys. You know, I don't know what you think you're doing here. No, thank you.
I want you to pull up secondary, sir.
No, thanks. I want to go free on my way. You know, correct me if I'm wrong. Did I stumble into Mexico, or is it still United States? Okay, well then therefore I should have the freedom to travel unmolested because I'm in America here. So,
Well, go ahead, go.
go ahead and go where?
Keep going on the road.
Okay, see you later.
Of what country are you a citizen?
What's the purpose of the stop?
Immigration checkpoint.
Okay, what's the scope of the stop?
Immigration checkpoint. Of what country are you a citizen?
Who do you work for?
U.S. Border Patrol.
Am I being detained?
No, I'm asking you a simple question.
Am I free to go?
I'm asking you a question. You need to answer my question.
Am I being detained?
You need to answer my question, sir.
Am I being detained?
Sir, you need to answer my question.
Am I being detained? I would like to go on my way if I'm not being detained. Am I being detained?
I'm asking you a question. You need to answer my question.
Telling you. I'm asking you if I'm being detained.
I'm just asking you, for the purposes of immigration, I need to ask you of what country you're a citizen.
Am I being detained?
I'm asking you, are you being, what country?
Am I free to go?
You need to answer my question.
Are you refusing to allow me to go on my way?
You know what? You need to answer my question.
Are you refusing to allow me to go on my way?
Can you pull over to secondary?
Are you refusing to allow me to go on my way? Am I being detained?
I'm asking you to pull over to secondary.
Am I being detained?
Can you pull over to secondary, please?
Am I being detained?
I'm asking for the purposes of immigration. You need to pull over to.
Am I being detained?
Can you pull over to the secondary?
You've told me now that I'm not being detained. Am I free to go?
Sir, can you answer my question?
Am I being detained?
For the purposes of immigration, I need to ask you of what country you're a citizen.
You can ask me whatever you want. Am I being detained?
You are not being detained, sir.
Am I free to go? Okay, she's now
You know what?
looking around my vehicle. I'm free to go?
Have a good day.
Good
morning. Am I free to go?
Yes, are you a U.S. citizen?
Am I free to go?
As soon as you answer the question, if you're a U.S. citizen.
Sir, am I free to go?
As soon as you answer the question, if you're a U.S. citizen.
Where's the border at?
It's 50 miles that way, sir.
50 miles?
Yes, sir.
Did I cross it?
No, sir. Give me a second. How you doing, sir?
How you doing?
Are you doing all right?
Yeah, I'm doing fine. How are you doing, sir?
Good, thank you.
Am I free to go, sir?
Well, sir, we need to find out if there's anybody else with you. Are you holding anybody else with you?
Am I free to go?
Not yet, not until we find out if you have anybody with you.
I plead the Fifth Amendment, sir.
Really?
Yes, sir.
And why is that? Do you have anything to hide? Are you breaking the law right now?
You tell me. Am I breaking the law?
Do you have anybody else back there?
Am I free to go?
Do you have anybody else back there?
What's your name?
You know what my name is. You have a name tag. What is
Zavala? Is that correct?
what is that you're hiding in there? You hiding anything? Tell me. Are you hiding anything?
Am I free to go?
Are you hiding anything in there? Tell me. We can stay all day here playing your little game.
Okay.
You have a problem with law enforcement?
I choose not to answer any more questions, sir. Not without a lawyer present.
All right.
Okay.
I appreciate next time you come through here, you be more cooperative so that you can make our job easier. Thank you. You're free to go.
Is being cooperative giving up my rights?
U.S. citizen, sir?
Respectfully, sir, I do not have to answer that question.
Sir, are you a U.S. citizen?
I don't have to answer that question, sir.
What's that?
I don't have to answer that question. I'm sorry.
What country are you a citizen of?
Again, I'm sorry, I don't have to answer that question, sir. I'd
Okay.
like to travel freely down the road,
Okay,
please.
do me a favor and pull in lane 2 over there then.
No, thank you. I just want to travel down the road.
No,
please.
actually you have to. I'm ordering you to park over there in lane 2.
Why is
This
that,
is an
sir?
immigration inspection,
Uh-huh.
and you are not satisfying my need that you are a U.S. citizen.
Well, see,
So pull
you have
over
to have
lane 2.
a reasonable suspicion to ask me that. What is your reasonable
Supervisor in car
suspicion?
1, supervisor in car 1.
Sir, how you doing today?
I'm doing well, sir. Again, like I've explained, I'm a private citizen. I like to freely travel down this road without having to answer questions from federal agents. Unless we're living in a police state, unless this is Mexico or Nazi Germany, it's still America, and I can travel down this road without having to answer questions from federal agents.
And all you have to do is say I'm a U.S. citizen and
Right.
you'll be on your way.
But this is a
instead,
matter.
You're making a
this
big
is,
deal
this
about
is a
it.
matter of principle to me, sir. It's a,
The fact that you're not answering an immigration question is the necessary suspicion
Let's
I
see,
have to send you a second.
You asked me that. You asked me that question before I refused to answer. So what was the suspicion that I was an
From
alien?
the very get-go.
Right.
How about you, sir? Are you willing to answer the question?
We just want to go on our way, sir.
Are you a U.S. citizen or
Do you
not?
have a suspicion I'm not? We just want to go on our way.
I don't want to hold up traffic. I want to freely travel down the road. May I do that?
You may.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
See that, Laredo? That is how you resist tyranny, and that is how you resist a warrantless, unconstitutional checkpoint.
Planet Earth is comprised of 1/4 land and 3/4 water, geographically. The average human body is composed of up to 90% of its weight in water from birth. The human fetus spends 9 months approximately in utero and in water. All living creatures that have breath are born in and or from water. The Earth contains roughly 368 trillion cubic meters of water. Humans throughout history have used less than 10% of the world's water resources at any time. The average modern-day human being uses approximately 100 gallons of water a day. That is 5 times the weight of the average human being, over 800 pounds. The average healthy human being will drink up to 3 gallons of water a day. All of the planet's most ancient mythos, theos, and cosmologies record creation events that begin with water. All laws, since primordial antiquity, were written to regulate land and sea separately. Laws pertaining to land became the law of the land, or rather natural or common law, and laws pertaining to the sea became law of the sea, or rather maritime admiralty law, which is international law and the same everywhere in the world, no matter where you go. All laws since time immemorial originate from and are based upon ecclesiastical or canon law via the ancient laws and ecclesiastical right of kings. Natural or common law primarily preserves the inalienable rights and needs of human beings who live on land, differing between nations. The law of the sea, or maritime admiralty law, primarily grants the right that is legal to conduct merchant, banking, corporate, international commerce. Seeing how living persons cannot live on or in water for extended periods of time, and the Earth's seas have been used primarily for travel since antiquity, regulation of the sea for merchant, trafficking, shipping, and commerce through law became necessary for the merchants of nations to do business internationally. The law of the sea, maritime admiralty law, is universal and transcends all national boundaries and laws legally. What is legal is not necessarily lawful. Natural or common law, the law of the land, preserving the rights and freedoms of living persons is lawful. Maritime Admiralty Law, or UCC, Universal Commercial Code, is legal, and that legal robbery and murder. In ancient Rome, a Roman maxim law stated that he who will be deceived, let him be deceived, which means the responsibility of the deception is on the one that is deceived by it. Basically, if you get it up the hoop, or what we commonly refer to as being stiffed, shafted, that's your problem. Unbeknownst to everyone, Maritime Admiralty Law, the international law of the high seas, came upon land like a flood and made every man, woman, and child since that time dead in the water. The word maritime comes from the Proto-Italic cognates mer, mar, mare, and mari, which all mean water. These cognates are found in words like commerce and merchant and maritime. The water that flows by currents in rivers is directed by the river banks. Water that flows in the world of maritime admiralty law is money, because money is water. Money is currency. It's liquid, as in liquid assets. Money, or monai, mono-I, or simply one eye in maritime admiralty banking laws, is the lifeblood, the cash flow of the system of merchandising and traffic. To traverse this fictional world, there must be ships. Ships traverse water or the sea, and when they come to land, they come into a port. When you plug your electronic device into a computer, you're plugging it into a USB port, a universal serial bus port. The world of the internet is analogized with water as well. We have the deep web, and when you do a live social media broadcast on the internet, you are streaming the show. When a ship pulls into the port, it comes down a canal to where there is a dock, and there the ship is tied off. The ship's captain submits to the dockmaster a manifest of birth, a license and manifest of goods and services being delivered by the ship to the dock. The dockmaster signs the manifest claiming the cargo as property now of the ward, which includes livestock. All ships are female. A woman is a ship. A man is a fabricator. A man delivers semen into a vessel. The woman bears the cargo of the semen and labors for 9 months, wherein her water breaks and the semen in the hold come down the birth canal through a port of entry and are delivered in a hospital delivery room. According to Black's Law Dictionary, a hospital is also a bank and also a church. The woman has shipped newly birthed Admiralty maritime product, stock, livestock, cargo. A doctor will untie the ship from the cargo, stock, the product, by cutting the umbilical cord to the ship or vessel and sign a birth certificate, a manifest of birth, after the cargo has been stamped or daubed by a footprint and fingerprint with blood and ink. And after the informants which are your parents, sign the manifest, which is plainly written on the certificate itself, your parents, the informants, are informing the doctor that the cargo, the stock, is now delivered and can be claimed by signature. The doctor signs the certificate, making you now lost at sea as unclaimed corporate property, cargo, stock, product, commodity. You are now legally dead in the water, and your name appears in all capital letters and on every other legal document. And as I said, legal is not necessarily lawful. The word capital, capital, etc. comes from the Latin caput, which means skull, and the word El, which is named for the Phoenician, Hebrew, and Roman god Saturn, which can be found in the Bible. Capitol is where we get Capitoline Hill, Golgotha. Capitol Hill is in Washington, D.C. Caesar in antiquity ruled from the hill, just as modern-day presidents, monarchs, and popes rule from hills. A gangster may shoot someone in the head and say, "I capped him," a euphemism for a bullet causing death to the head. The word captain comes from the word capital, which means money, or one eye, and equals water, the currency ration. All corporations are fictional. They exist on paper as a dead body vessel, just as your name in all caps on a birth certificate. The Constitution of the United States was formed in 1776. But the Constitution of the Incorporation of the United States was in 1871. The Corporation of the United States was formed in Delaware, Maryland in 1871 and became the United States, Inc. All citizens of U.S. Inc. have a license to work for U.S. Inc. They are employees. All corporations must have three things: a president, a vice president, and a secretary treasurer. Everything in the world of merchant corporate banking law revolves around ships, as ships are carried by the water, which is the current sea, and all corporations are ships. If you want to have a car, you must have an ownership. If you want to be a citizen of a nation or country, you must get a citizenship. If you go into business with someone, you enter a partnership. If you want to learn a trade, you may enter an apprenticeship. Want to go to college and get your degree? Get a scholarship. Want to go buy a new car? You go down to the dealership. If you are traveling by car, you may enter a township before you enter the very town. When a man and woman get married, and the word invokes maritime admiralty law, they enter a business contract and obtain a marriage license to do business as a partnership. If you go to a church, which means a bank according to Black's law, you are going to a place of worship. Everything is a vessel, a fictional ship created out of thin air on paper in the sea of corporate commercial banking laws of pirates of the high seas. A person, according to Black's Law Dictionary, is a monster. According to canon law, Goyim, translated from the Hebrew to mean nations, cattle, chattel, animals, beasts, non-human according to rabbinical sources which are authoritative, in ecclesiastical or canon law which includes Talmudic rulings. Goyim have no rights. Admiral or admiralty laws apply to the authority of the captain, who is the admiral of the ship. The captain, or rather the admiral, who has absolute power and control of the ship, can make up the rules as he goes along. The word admiral comes from the cognates admire and the Phoenician Hebrew Roman name of deity Saturn El. Wherever there is a crown, you had better admire and have admiration for the king who is the captain, commander-in-chief, or else. Under common law, there's no such thing as a victimless crime, and a victim receives compensation and redress for damages. Aboard a ship, the captain can make any act a crime and he can impose sanctions accordingly. If you have a house and want to sell it, you put it up for sale. You are placing a sale on a ship which will set sail and dock to another port when sold. When you send a package somewhere abroad, you are shipping it, even though it's more than likely traveling by land. If you are losing your house, it's said that your house is underwater. If you get in trouble with the IRS or if you go to prison, it's said you have landed in hot or deep water, and someone has to come and bail you out. A ship pulls into a port and gets tied off at a dock. When you go to a court, your case is placed in a docket. All courts in the land are judiciaries. They are judicial courts operating under mixed Roman, common, canon, and admiralty maritime law under a crown. They are ships docked on land. This according to the Judiciary Act of 1789 passed by Congress, which made all district courts admiralty courts having maritime admiralty jurisdiction. The United States of America and the United States are two different entities. One is a corporation, the other employees of the corporation. The United States of America never ever did win its independence from the Crown in the Revolutionary War. The Charter of Virginia of 1606 granted colonists a license to settle and colonize America by the King. The Treaty of 1783, after Cornwallis surrendered to Washington at Yorktown, completely contradicts and negates the generally assumed and taught notion that America won its independence from Britain. The first article of the Treaty of 1783 relinquishes all claims to America except for the continued tribute to the King under the Charter of Virginia of 1606. The charter was invoked by King James I, who gave you the King James Bible, and it states in Section 9 of the charter, and I quote, "Yielding therefore to us, our heirs and successors, the 5th part of all the same gold and silver, and the 15th part of all the same copper, so to be gotten or had, as is aforesaid, without any other manner or profit or account, to be given or yielded to us, our heirs or successors." The Revolutionary War was over in 1781, but the Treaty of 1783 was signed 3 years later, which means the war was not over, nor was it won. The Treaty of 1783 upheld the tribute to the King's venture by the colonists, which means America remains to this day a British colony that pays tribute to the Crown, as imposed by the Charter of 1606. America was conquered. Liberty is not freedom. A sailor on a ship gets liberty when he's allowed to have a short leave from the vessel when the ship pulls into port. A dog has liberty on a leash when you take him for a walk. A prisoner gets liberty when he's allowed out of the cell into the courtyard for a few hours while under the careful watch of snipers. Liberty is a license. It is a privilege allowed by a ruler, owner, king, etc. to a subject of the same. America never has been the land of the free at any time. It's the land of liberty on the leash of the Crown. In the year 1106, the judgments or rules of Oleron were first implemented by Eleanor of Aquitaine. after her return from the Second Crusade, having accompanied her first husband, King Louis VII. These were codified maritime admiralty laws that were supposed to protect the Crusaders' estates and titles while they went and fought the Crusades. This was based on the Greek maritime law of Rhodes of 900 BC called Lex Rhodia, which in turn came from the mariner laws codified ecclesiastically by the Phoenicians, who began their merchant mariner empire in 1586, lasting 1,000 years. In the year 1666, a great fire broke out in London while the Black Plague was ravaging Europe. The fire was intentionally set in Pudding Lane, as some historians believe, to clear out the slums to make way for what would eventually be the City of London. Parliament, behind closed doors in secret, invoked the Sesquiquivir Act of 1540, enacted by the then King Henry VIII, reworked and instated by Charles I of the time. Sesquiquivir from the Old French into English means "this killed that life." This made all men, women, and children presumed and assumed dead, and a trust set up. According to Black's Law Dictionary, Sesquiquivir means the person whose life measures the duration of a trust, gift, estate, or insurance contract. The life of a trust is 7 years under the law of limited liability. This act is most diabolically evil because it killed everyone and gave them 7 years to claim back their lives. The fires of 1666 also created the only parcel of land on the planet that does not have a title deed, the Golden Mile, the City of London, which is a corporation having its own flag, its own constitution and laws, its own defense and police forces. The Golden Square Mile holds the Bank of England, the London Metal Exchange, Fleet Street, FTSE Stock Exchange, the Royal Mint, and the Old Bailey Courthouse. The United States channels billions yearly to the Bank of England to pay the Crown's tribute. In 1913, the Federal Reserve was set up, the brainchild of a secret meeting held on Jekyll Island in 1910. As United States Inc.'s debt soared well above the estimated gold reserves the corporation of the U.S. held as a standard for the dollar, the Federal Reserve Act was passed on Christmas Eve while Congress was away, giving the power for a foreign corporate entity to print fiat and collect interest on monies created from thin air. A bank does not loan you money. That's illegal. A bank gives you credit, which is legal, but not necessarily lawful. In 1917, the Balfour Declaration was introduced, paving the way for the establishment of the State of Israel in 1948. The Bolshevik Revolution broke out in Russia that was funded and began by Wall Street bankers such as Jacob Schiff and J.P. Morgan. That same year, Woodrow Wilson signed in the War Powers Act that basically stated that the U.S. was stopping all trade with the enemy except for those whom are granted a license, which excluded Americans. Licenses began to be issued in 1933. In 1933, the U.S. had reached Section 11 bankruptcy. President Roosevelt amended the War Powers Act of 1917 and declared all U.S. citizens as enemies of the state. There was a declared national emergency on March 9th, with an emergency act being passed placing all power, property, and resources of the U.S. into the hands of the President under martial law that has continued ever since. This is renewed yearly by executive order. The Federal Reserve began to print fiat money. The all-seeing eye was placed on the dollar bill. All men, women, and children born ever since arrive as collateral for U.S. Inc.'s debt, as slaves and enemies of the state. The balance of debt versus collateral is determined through illegal wars for profit, where the debt versus collateral is balanced, or rather the herd of slaves is thinned out. What all this means, ladies and gentlemen, is you are all slaves and cannon fodder for the nations you are in and who are subservient to the rulers running them. You have been turned into collateral for national debts. Consider this when hearing about the imminent collapse of the economy soon to take place. When debts cannot be paid, you are said to be in deep water, and those in deep water usually drown. Shylock, according to Shakespeare, asks for a pound of flesh to pay the bill. The owners of US Inc. demand the same according to Admiralty Maritime statutes you are all under. The sun never did set on the Roman Empire, and Rome is just as alive today as it was a couple thousand years ago. You are all owned property and subservient to a crown, whether you like it or not. You are all considered dead and unclaimed by the crown, who laid claim and made you their bitch. You cannot, nor are you allowed to speak for yourself, as dead persons cannot speak, and is why you need a lawyer to speak for you in a court. The dead have no rights. This is all based upon ancient ecclesiastical or canon law at its root and core. When you board a ship called a church, which is also considered a bank under Maritime Admiralty, and embark upon it, the licensed and registered pastor or priest must teach and keep you obedient to the monarch, the crown. Because he who wears the crown, which is the monarch, is the head of the ship called church. He is the king, the lord and captain of the ship called church, and the pastor or priest is an agent of the crown. Maritime Admiralty, or rather Universal Commercial Code, or UCC, is the matrix pulled over everyone's eyes that governs all, because everything has been made into ships on the sea of corporate commerce. Without their one eye, which is money, which is water, all ships are dead at sea and cannot traverse their fictional matrix they created. It's now high time for a concerted universal mutiny.